Hi, I'm Lynne, the soft speaker fairy godmother. I'm reading the story Peer Gynt, a Norwegian fairy tale retold by Carolyn Emerick. And as I posted in the comments, you can find her writings on Amazon, and you may be able to find them on eBay for a short time. In this book, it has some photos in it. I'll be sharing the photos. This story is mostly for adults, but use your discretion, parents. Some children may be precocious and enjoy the story as well. And I've heard other folklorists say that children don't remember the horror parts of stories, and they just find that being read to is soothing and relaxing. So enjoy. Once upon a time, in the town of Kvam in Norway, lived a marksman by the name of Peer Gynt. He spent most of his time in the mountains hunting bear and elk, for in those days the Fjalls mountains were heavily forested, and all kinds of animals lived on them. Late in the autumn, when the cattle had all been driven down from their mountain pastures for winter, one day Peer Gynt decided to climb up the Fjall again. All the herdsmen had left the mountain with their cattle, all except for 3 dairy maids. Dairy Maid on Bitch Fjord by A. Heaton Cooper. And here's another photo. Hunter by Julius Mark Mislebeck. Sorry about the pronunciation. When Peer Gynt finally reached the herdsman's hut, where he intended to sleep for the night, he found that it was so dark that he could not see his hand in front of his own face. Suddenly his dogs began to bark so violently that even this seasoned huntsman felt nervous. Then Peer Gynt's foot bumped into something, and when he reached down to feel it, it was cold and slippery and very, very big. Peer Gynt was sure that he had not strayed off the path, so he had no idea what the object would be, but he felt that something was just not right. And then the thing moved. "Who are you?" asked Peer Gynt. "Oh, I am the Crooked One," a voice answered in the dark. Peer Gynt felt that he knew as much now as he did before, which was not very much. He decided to just walk the length of the thing, for he must surely reach the end of it. But as he walked along, he again struck something with his boot, and again, when he felt it, it was cold and slippery and very, very large. "Who are you?" again asked Peer Gynt. "I am the Crooked One," was again the answer he received. "Well," said Peer Gynt, "whether you are crooked or straight, you will have to let me pass." He noticed that he had been walking around in a circle and that the Crooked One had coiled himself all around the herdsman's cottage. At those words, the Crooked One moved a little to the side so Peer Gynt could get into the cottage. When he entered, he found that the cottage was just as dark inside as it was outside. So he stumbled and felt his way along the walls because he wanted to set down his hunting rifle and bag. But while he was feeling his way around, he once more noticed something cold, slippery, and very, very big. "And who are you now?" cried Peer Gynt. "Oh, I am the big Crooked One," was the answer. And no matter where he placed his hands or set his feet, Peer Gynt could feel the coils of the Crooked One all around him. There's a photo from the Story of Norway by Hjalmar H. Boyesen. This is a terrible spot to be in, Peer Gynt thought, for this Crooked One is both inside and outside. but soon I will put what is wrong to right." He took out his rifle and went back outside and felt his way along the crooked one until he came to his head. "And who are you really, truly?" Peer Gynt asked the creature. "Oh, I am the big crooked one of Etnedal," said the monster troll. And then Peer Gynt did not waste any time and shot 3 bullets right through the middle of the creature's head. "Shoot again," cried the crooked one. But Peer Gynt knew better, for if he had shot one more time, the bullet would have rebounded and hit him instead. After shooting the creature, Peer Gynt and his dogs grabbed hold of the great troll and dragged him out of the hut so that they might make themselves comfortable inside. But meanwhile, the hills began to ring out with laughter and jeers. Peer Gynt pulled hard, but the dogs pulled harder. A voice rang in his ears. He ignored the jeers, and as it had been a tedious day, Peer Gynt soon fell asleep. In the morning, Peer Gynt went out hunting. When he had wandered far into Fjall, he saw a girl driving the sheep and goats across the mountaintop. But when he reached the top of the mountain, the girl and her flock had vanished. All that he saw was a large pack of bears. Here's Family of Bear Family by A.N. Komarov. "Never before have I seen bears travel in packs," thought Peer Gynt. But when he came closer, all the bears disappeared except for one. Then a voice called out from behind a nearby hill, "Guard your boar, for understand Peer Gynt is about with his rifle in his hand." And then from behind another hill, another voice answered back, "Oh, then it is the worse for Peer Gynt, but not for my boar, because Peer Gynt did not wash today." Quickly, Peer Gynt spit into his hands and washed them that way, and then shot the bear. The hills rang out with echoing laughter. "You should have guarded your boar better," called one voice. "I did not think he carried the wash bowl in his mouth," laughed the other. Ignoring them, Peer Gynt skinned the bear and buried the body among the boulders, taking only the head and skin with him. Excuse me. On his way back, he saw a mountain. "See, my little lamb, how fat you are," rang out from one hill. "Look how high Peer Gynt carries his rifle," sounded from another hill, as Peer Gynt shouldered his rifle and shot the fox. He also skinned it and took the skin with him. When he reached the herdsman's hut, he nailed the heads against the outer wall with their jaws set wide open. Then he made a fire and hung the soup kettle over it. But the fire created so much smoke that it burned his eyes, so he had to drill a small hole in the wall to let the smoke escape. Suddenly, a troll strolled up and thrust his nose through the hole. His nose was so long that it reached the fireplace. "Here is my smeller, so take it a good look," said the troll. "Well, here is the taste of soup that I cooked," said Peer Gynt, and he poured the whole kettle of soup over the troll's hideous long nose. The troll ran off, crying loudly, and from all the hills all around came the laughter of his fellow trolls, who mocked him, calling out, "Gyri soup smeller, Gyri snoop smeller." Then it was quiet for a while, but before long the noise and commotion outside began to start up again. So Peer Gynt looked out the window and saw a wagon being pulled by bears and a large troll sitting in the back. Off they went, and the bears hauling the troll up the fjall. All of a sudden, a bucket of water was poured down the chimney, which put out the fire. Peer Gynt was again in darkness. Laughter and taunts echoed from every corner of the cabin, and the voice jeered at him. Now Peer Gynt will be no better than the dairymaids at the hut at the ball. Aha! Immediately Peer Gynt gathered his things, called his dogs, grabbed his guns, locked up the herdsman's hut, and started walking north toward the hut at Val to see after the 3 dairymaids. After he had traveled a ways, he saw a fire in the distance, as if the whole hut were in flames. Just as he saw it, he was set upon by a whole pack of wolves. He shot some, and others he clubbed with the butt of his rifle. When he reached the hut of Val, there was no fire at all. The cabin was pitch black inside, but there were 4 strangers inside the hut who were creeping about and frightening the dairy maids. Oh, I forgot to show you a picture. Norwegian Trolls by John Bauer. It might be Bayer. And then here's the other picture. Troll by John Bauer. I don't know whether it's Bauer or Bayer. It's Bauer. Anyone knows, please type it in the comments. As he approached the cabin, he could see that there were 4 mountain trolls. These trolls were known in the region by name Gust Ivar, Tron Vidjet, Valgeldet, Kostel, Abaken, and Wolf Elforkungen. Gust Ivar was standing guard at the door, so Peer Gynt raised his rifle and shot at him. Unfortunately, he missed. But at least the troll ran away, so Peer Gynt could move forward to deal with the others. Here's Trolls with a Woman by Kay Nielsen. When Peer Gynt entered the hut, the poor dairymaids were well near frightened to death by their ordeal. And when the trolls saw who had come to save the maids, they began to wail. For Peer Gynt was known far and wide for his prowess as a hunter. Rolf Eldenforkingen ran to the fireplace and lit the fire. Just as he did, Peer Gynt's faithful dogs sprang upon Kjostol Abaken and threw him into the hearth, causing ashes and sparks to fly everywhere. Peer Gynt, have you seen my snakes? Aha! Cried Tron Valgeldet. He was referring to the wolves. Yes, answered Peer Gynt, and now you will meet the same fate that your snakes did, he cried as he shot the troll dead. Then he turned to Abaken and introduced his head to the butt end of his rifle, making a quick end of him too. During the tussle, the last troll, Wolf Eldenforkingen, had escaped through the chimney. But rather than go after him, Peer Gynt thought it best to accompany the poor dairymaids back home to their village, for they were too terrified to stay the night in the hut in the wilderness another moment. And so all was quiet for a time. But when Christmas rolled around, more adventure came to Peer Gynt. This is the best part of the story. He had heard of a farmstead in Dover, where so many trolls came to gather on Christmas Eve that the people who lived there had to flee and find shelter in the neighbors' farms. Peer Gynt decided to head to this farm, for he would like to see these trolls for himself. He put on tattered old clothes and brought his own tamed bear, an awl, which is a tool to pierce holes, some pitch, and a spool of wire. When he reached the farmstead, he knocked on the door of the house and asked for shelter. God save us, cried the farmer. We cannot shelter you because the trolls are coming. We are about to flee ourselves. Here's Hunter in the Wilderness by Carl Hasch Jaeger. I will face these trolls and try to rid you of this problem, promised Peer Gynt. So he was allowed to stay the night in the farmhouse, and the family gave him a pigskin as payment. Okay, now what the story hasn't mentioned that I heard the other night was that they always came every year and ate their Christmas dinner. Okay, let's see. So as night set in, the bear laid down beside the fireplace, and Peer Gynt took out his awl, his pitch, and his wire to make a large shoe out of the pigskin. Then he found a rope to wind through it as a necklace, shoelace, using 2 large wagon spokes for wedges as he worked. Here's a painting of interior of a Norwegian cottage by Nico Junman. Again, forgive me of my mispronunciations. Seems I can barely talk today. Okay. Suddenly, the bear awoke as they heard fiddle music outside the door. A company of trolls headed to the farmhouse, dancing and singing with their fiddlers while their fiddlers played. They entered the house and went straight toward the table where the Christmas dinner had been set out and began to gobble it all up. They also brought their own troll dinner with them, and they munched on disgusting troll food like fried frogs and toads. As the trolls celebrated, eventually some of them eyed the large shoe that Peer Gynt had made. Since the shoe was made to be troll size, all the trolls wanted to try it on their own foot. They began to argue over who would wear it. Eventually, all the trolls shoved a foot in at the very same time. When every troll had a foot in the shoe, Peer Gynt leaped out of hiding and grabbed the rope shoelace. He pushed the shoe into a wedge and then pulled the rope so tight that every single troll was trapped. While this was going on, the bear had wandered over to the dinner feast and began sniffing the roast. "Would you like some cake, little white cat?" one of the trolls taunted the bear as he threw a burning hot fried frog into the bear's mouth. At this, Peer Gynt commanded the bear, "Master Bruin, attack!" At that, the bear flew into a rage and jumped into the pile of trolls. Peer Gynt jumped in after him and a wagon spoke for a club, with a wagon spoke for a club, and together the pair walloped the trolls. They killed as many as they could, while the ones who couldn't get away ran back into the woods. When all the trolls were dead or fled, Peer Gynt sat down and enjoyed a much-deserved Christmas feast. All through the land, no one else was bothered by the trolls for many years to come. The end. Here's Hunter in the Woods by Caspar David Friedrich. Okay, in my next stream, I'll be reading to give you more information about the background of this story. The first chapter is Scandinavian Cultural Values in Society and Folklore. So stay tuned. Maybe my voice will be in better shape and my pronunciation better. Thank you.